president's approval ratings in 3 major categories are hitting new lows. Joining us right now to break it down, Scott Rasmussen of Ballotpedia. Scott, good morning. I want to take a deeper look at these new poll numbers from ABC IPSOS. President Biden's approval rating right now hitting new lows when it came to a couple of different categories: economic recovery, violence, and crime. Let's take a look at those numbers very quickly. What do you make of this? The economic recovery, 41% approve, 57% disapprove. Not surprising, though, considering we are still in this pandemic and we're still trying to recover from the economy.
Well, first off, Jen, presidents always get more credit or blame for what's going on in the world. So part of it's just people are unhappy with the economy. Most voters recognize that there are fewer people working today than there were before the pandemic. But a part of it is the president's agenda is struggling. We did some polling in the last few days. Only 36% of voters approve of the way the president is handling tax and spend issues. And I suspect a lot of that has to do with reports on the Build Back Better plan. Also, when it comes to violence, only 32% approve, while 66% disapprove. This is actually a stronger disapproval than for the economy. Yeah, this is a concern that people have had it's always a big concern. It never gets as much attention as the economy, but people have seen reports of, major cities having some difficulties. People are seeing experiences around them with perhaps things not being handled as they would like. And it's a part of a broader fear about, can the administration keep the American people safe? And just like with violence, crime also, 36% approve, 61% disapprove. We have seen a lot of major cities have a big increase in not just violent crime, but also, as we've seen, thefts and robberies and looting. I want to talk to you, though, also about what's happening as the president's approval ratings decrease. Republicans right now gaining ground. So when American voters were asked which party they would prefer to control Congress, take a look at these numbers. 44% would like to see Republicans control Congress. 34% want Democrats. And with the midterms right around the corner, Scott, what should Democratic lawmakers make of these numbers? They should be very scared, very concerned. My own polling shows the Republicans have a 6-point advantage on the generic congressional ballot. Almost all polls are showing the GOP with an advantage. And to put that into perspective, it hardly ever happens. Almost always in generic ballot polls, a year ahead of the election, the Democrats are ahead, even in good Republican years. So the question for the Democrats in terms of the House is simply going to be, how many seats do they lose? It's almost certain the Republicans will gain control of the House. When you look to the Senate, it's a tougher call. The Democrats do have an opportunity to maintain control of the Senate. That would require some mistakes by the Republicans and perhaps some trimming of the messages by the Democrats. Well, the rise of inflation under the Biden administration has been very detrimental to the Democratic Party, as we know. And according to a new CNBC All-America economic survey, inflation now has replaced COVID as the nation's top concern. What role do you see inflation having in this upcoming election? Oh, inflation is a huge issue, partly because people see it every single day. When you go to fill up your gas tank or buy groceries, people see inflation. In the holiday season, every time they're buying gifts, they're seeing inflation. And for people who live paycheck to paycheck, half the country, when the price of gas goes up or the price of groceries go up, there's less money to spend on anything else that you need. So it's a huge issue. An even bigger problem for the Democrats politically is the fact that voters believe increased government spending leads to more inflation. And again, that ties back to the disapproval of the president on tax and spend issues. And it's clear Americans are concerned about economic issues. Let's talk about the new poll that you conducted. What did you find with that? Well, James Carville, a long time ago, said it's the economy, stupid. 65% of voters say they're more interested in economic issues than cultural issues. The culture wars seem to dominate a lot of news coverage. Voters don't want to head in that direction. They want to hear about how are we going to deal with the economy. At the same time, they're not really sure what the political parties think. There's a huge disconnect. Now, when it comes to the Republican Party, most voters, 55%, do believe that Republican politicians and activists are focused more on the economy than on cultural issues. Just 21% take the opposite view. And again, this is among all voters, and most independent voters share this view. When it comes to the Democrats, however, there's not really a lot of confidence that Democrats are focused on the economy. Just 37% say they're focused on economic issues. 38% believe that Democratic politicians and activists are more focused on the cultural issues. A lot of this might involve the woke agenda. And so you've got a situation where people are saying the economy is the most important topic. People are concerned about inflation. They're concerned that increased government spending is going to add to inflation. And then they think the Democrats, a lot of people think the Democrats are far more interested in resolving cultural issues. That's a bad dynamic for the midterm elections.
Scott Rasmussen, great seeing you. Thanks for joining us here on the National Desk. Have a great week.
Thanks, Jay.
Merry Christmas.